Can I tell you a secret?
Yeah, please.
Okay, just go with me for a minute. What if there were a medicine that could heal, like, almost anything?
Common side effects. An Adult Swim show revolving around a fat hippie named Marshall trying to save the world after finding a magic mushroom that can cure anything, while evading law enforcement and trying to deal with its consequences. An animated drama. Yeah, this is something you don't really see much in the West. I mean, I don't watch anime either, so I don't know if they do that a lot there either, though. I first heard about it through the non-stop ads on HBO Max, and honestly, if it weren't for the Adult Swim logo at the end, I probably would not have checked it out. But even after watching it, even without my Adult Swim obsession, the series is still pretty great. Maybe in the beginning there are a lot of confusing things and the writing's a bit odd. You know, this full first half of the episode lacks a lot of build up to scenes, and instead they just happen with a lot of cutaways and techniques that you never see again, like how they just took real people here and pasted these huge Caillou-ass tumor heads on top. And the animation's a bit chuggy, but the background and set designs remain absolutely beautiful for the entire run. Now, I brought up anime earlier in jest, but honestly, a lot of this looks to be influenced by them. These designs, they look a little bit weird at first, but their massive foreheads actually leave a lot of room for the smallest bit of expressions you'll see. And it helps you connect with these guys more, and it brings them to life. You know, something I can't defend, though, are these hands, especially one of the DEA agents just my favorite part of the show is the words and worlds behind these drawings. What might come off as a parody of itself often comes around and actually justifies its existence. You know, the entire plotline of government and Big Pharma working together to hunt down this one guy leaves the door open for some silly writing to occur, but it never does. Most of what feels realistic enough to pass in through your mind. This rolls over into the characters. They're all kind of stupid and frustrating, but in a good way. The main guy, Marshall, has spent multiple years alone venturing across huge lands and getting into a ton of trouble looking for this single MacGuffin, and when he finally finds it, he becomes completely scatterbrained as to how he could actually distribute it to people. He spent his entire adult life focusing on this one goal, but when it actually comes time to genuinely achieve it, he gets caught up in tiny things that slightly violate his morals. He has an entire lab dedicated to singularly growing this specific type of mushroom, but gets flustered when he might actually have to charge for it in any capacity. Like, there's idealism, and then there's just complete unreasonable acts of impossible charity. Really, my biggest question is, how is he so fat? Like, no, seriously, you see him like hiking, like running, diving, building, and yet you only see him eat once in the entire show. Like genuinely, how are you so obese? I mean, he's been looking for these mushrooms all his life. Maybe he could have been looking for like Ozempic instead. The co-lead Francis is your prototypical anxious millennial trying to make it in the world, but thankfully they lean out of some exaggerated caricature of young working class women, and instead she's just mostly someone that's too awkward for her own good. You see her coming out of her shell a bit, but she still conceals certain things from people around her, even after these moments. Right as the show begins, you're waiting for the moment with her and Marshall standing in the rain with rainstorm going down where one of them is like, "You lied to me!" But thankfully that scene never comes, and they emphasize the actual consequences of this a lot more than just the onus of the actual event happening instead. Oh my god. She also hurts her boyfriend Nick, but in a way that really makes them feel like a real couple. Never really telling him her true feelings, and she just kind of leads him on into thinking they have similar cares for each other. But in his first scene, he comes off kind of annoying, but they really try to get you to empathize with him, and I definitely did, and I definitely appreciate that. Honestly, Francis kind of sucked, okay? Bottom of the fucking list. You know who's the real best character in this show? Socrates. Okay, let's go, baby. I love Socrates so freaking much. On the spectrum of the antagonistic characters, Harrington and Caprano were definitely my favorite. Dual DEA agents with a great bond, and when they're first revealed, they come off a bit, you could tell the writers desperately wanted people to upload that type of Harrington and Caprano being literally me for 8.3344125 minutes. But their genuine friendship is actually well developed and will split up. They sort of show the more cleanly side of the system. Two people that genuinely want to do the right things by others, and yet are forced to follow the orders of their higher-ups and think about their careers. The many times that they come into closer contact are made better by all the times that they're seen in the back just observing stuff happen. You know, it makes all their close call scenes much more interesting and spontaneous. Though as much as I like the good cops, the bad guys are also pretty interesting. The Swiss billionaire Jonas Venture Sr. walks this thin line of Bond villain and real life guy really well. His actions are just the right amount of pure evil, smooth talking, and a little bit of empathy to shake him up too. His reckless disregard to the Blue Angel and the system he benefits from coming back to bite him is a great way to bring him down to like human level and ironically require Marshall's help. There's a lot of stuff that I like about this show, but there's quite a bit that I think maybe could be done better, or moments that feel kind of useless. A couple characters I have no idea how I'm supposed to feel about or what the writers were even trying to go for. Like this FBI lady comes off super cartoony and yet very flat at the same time. Her scene in Francis' office is not intimidating, instead it's just kind of distracting. Like the way she does in fact act like a Saturday morning villain, like pointlessly taking joy in terrorizing this random person she doesn't even know much about. Later on, she gets way better, but that's just because she doesn't do much. Instead, Jonas gets all that time to develop. Same goes with this girl. At first, she's supposed to be this cool, quirky lab girl. She tries to guilt Francis and acts like, again, a pointlessly cruel villain, discounting all negatives in the big pharma industry. And then, again, as the season aired, she just became flat and gave others the attention she deserved. So who is this person? What does she actually think about any of this? Other than these two, the worst character, in my opinion, is Hildy. Because why would anyone ever, at any point, trust her with anything? I mean, sure, Marshall was desperate at first. You know, he's known Hildy for a long time. Maybe she doesn't act like in the past. But right as he shows her the mushroom, she almost immediately tries to attack him. Like, she seems like maybe a character that would come back to haunt Marshall for this big reveal. And no way she is. But they never don't portray her as a complete nutjob that gets obsessed with doing things. I mean, you think that Marshall would know by now if she had a financial or ideological motive for this whole thing beyond just helping people, but apparently he doesn't. Beyond Hildy, Marshall's time in prison came up with a lot of problems. You see quite a bit in there. You meet a couple of people, mostly this mob boss and his crew, but they make it seem like they're going to have massive rules. But I have no idea how they're ever going to come back into the frame of the show. Like, they put so much emphasis on how the boss now owns Marshall's life because he saved him from assassination. But just how are they going to go back into all of this? Plus, this whole subplot makes me really question the in-universe time events. Like, how long has this show taken up? Was Marshall in jail for 3 days? How did Jonas go from seemingly perfectly healthy to an absolute husk in a couple of days? It just undermines quite a bit of things like Caprono's breakup, because it doesn't feel as if he's been on this case for a very long time, just obsessed, ruining his career. And Harrington seems a little bit unreasonable because of it. I mean, obviously we know as an audience who's right, but maybe they could use a bit of time to slow down and show the actual passage of time. Even with the couple of issues I have, it's clear that this show is really something special, and it's just another little bit of Adult Swim's history to be remembered. I definitely want to see more from this universe, and even though, I mean, Adult Swim just now renewed Season 2, so we're definitely not getting that for at least another couple years, like 20, 30, 50, 70, 80, maybe. Either way, you might as well sit back and watch the series a couple of times while you wait. The characters, its character, and the things it has to say about charity, healthcare, and subjectivism is genuinely thought-provoking, and it never comes off as a preachy show trying to talk down to you. You lied to me!